I used to punish myself with mom guilt because I believed that it would make me a better mom. I was stuck in this never-ending cycle of mom rage, guilt, and just repeat, and mom rage, guilt, and repeat, until I tried this 30-second pattern interrupt that changed everything.
So as a parenting coach, I see so many moms using guilt and shame as a form of punishment so they don't repeat a behavior again. I know in my story personally, this was a huge part of what kept me stuck in mom rage. And when I talk to moms, we go back and we look at their childhood and we look at how they were disciplined or punished. And most of the time, this is how they're treating themselves. And this is really the actions they are taking to try to stop their own behavior. And so for me, this was a huge aha moment in realizing that the guilt and the shame that I was feeling was really just a way to get myself to stop. Because as a child, when I felt deep amount of shame, I did not do an action or a behavior again. And so when we look at today, me as a mama, I would guilt myself, and I still do from time to time when I do something that is incongruent with the way that I want to show up and who I want to show up as. So this 30-second reset is going to be so helpful in helping you to snap out of it so you're not punishing yourself and staying stuck in this constant loop. So the first step in this reset is to put your hands on your heart. This is so grounding. I find myself doing this even when I can't do all the other steps or I'm too overwhelmed to do all the other steps. It just helps to ground me and to help me feel loved and to feel that compassion and that empathy for myself. And a lot of times in these moments, the only thing I need empathy and compassion from is from myself. And so usually what I do is I take one hand and I just put it over the other and I push pretty hard, and really giving myself some pressure in my chest helps to bring myself back online, helps to give myself the room and the space just to be. And often I'm doing this in front of my kiddos, guys, okay? I'm not doing this in a separate room. I'm not going somewhere else. This is just a moment for me. Sometimes I'll turn towards the sink in my kitchen. I have a window. Going near a window can be really helpful to kind of connect with nature again, going outside if you have the ability to. But I'll stand right in front of my kitchen sink and I'll just put my hands like this. So I'm looking out, even when there's screaming and chaos going on out here, I'm able to stay grounded within myself. Because I'm having a focal point, which for me is outside, and also putting my hands on my heart, which helps, like I said, to ground me. So step 2 is going to be breathing in and acknowledging what you are feeling guilt for. This may take a couple of tries to really identify what you're feeling guilt for if it's been a while after an event. So don't worry if you're finding yourself struggling to figure out what you're feeling guilt for. Take a couple of good deep breath cycles, keeping your hands on your chest and really noticing what thoughts and what feelings and sensations. You'll typically feel it right in the gut area. What am I feeling that guilt for? But we're going to talk more about this a little bit later. The third step is going to be breathing out, taking a huge exhale. Okay, so we're going to breathe out. And while we're breathing out, we are letting go, spitting out, throwing up, whatever you want to think of, this guilt. We are getting it out of our body. And so it's going to be a pretty hefty exhale. It's going to be a really deep sound in your throat and in your chest. You can even get it down into your diaphragm, just this really and you can really be primal here and really kind of grunty, almost like you were in labor, which is helping to release that. So this is step 3. Step 4, you are going to be taking another deep breath, but this time you are going to be breathing in an affirmation about who you believe you are. Now, in the moment, it is going to be really hard to access and to create a belief about who you truly are. So it's really important that you are doing this before this video ends. So I'm going to be sharing how I figure out who I am and who I really want to be a little bit later in this video. So make sure you stick around because that is key in this whole process, knowing who you are so you can breathe that in. I want to pause this video really quick. I know how dark and how hard this season can be when you're stuck in this cycle of guilt. And so I want to invite you to my Slowish Parenting community. It's completely free. I just send one email every Monday and give you just a little encouragement for your week ahead. So if this is something you're interested in, you can comment community below and I will send you the link because I'd love to have you join this little community of mine. And now the last step is going to be exhaling. And as you exhale, you're going to want to think of that anchor again. So step 4, you're inhaling, the anchor is coming up, you're believing that you are, worthy. I am worthy. I am calm, I am peaceful, whatever your belief is. And that belief is going to, with the exhale, settle deep into your belly. And it's going to settle as deep as you can get it. You can repeat this step multiple times until you feel just this wholeness in your body. For some of us, we're not going to have that time. And that's why I call this a 30-second reset, because from the moment you notice until the final breath is usually me taking 3 breaths, and that's usually about 30 seconds. So going through these steps, take as long as you need to and as long as you have available. And like I said, this can be done while your kids are right there. You don't have to go find a quiet spot, although that can be helpful. Being there, showing and modeling to your kids how you're working through something is really helpful in teaching them emotional regulation, because they're seeing you work through it in real time, which gives them the tools that they need firsthand.
Now I'm going to walk you through the steps. This is a great opportunity for you to save this video so it's something that you can come back to time and time again. So let's start with hands on your heart. And then acknowledge what is bringing you guilt. Take a deep breath in and see that moment rise with your breath. And now you can blow out the guilt as you exhale. Next, recall the affirmation of who you are striving to be. Watch that affirmation rise as you inhale. And once you hit your peak, let it fall and settle deep within your belly as you exhale, as if it's anchoring you.
As I was recording this video, I was thinking about the season where I was guilting myself the hardest over how I was parenting, how I was responding as a parent. And I shared a lot about my story and my journey with mom rage. But during that season, that was probably the hardest and the most painful season I had gone through, because I was just hurting and punishing myself. And I thought that if I could shame myself, if I could guilt myself more, I would never do these things again. I would finally stop. And it just wasn't true. It just kept me stuck in that cycle. And I think it's really important to know that if you are struggling with guilt, one, guilt is normal. Guilt is the thing that motivates us to make change, right? But shame, I love how Brene Brown defines the two. Guilt is this feeling of I did something bad and I feel terrible about it. And I am bad. Shame is that I am bad. And this deep core belief. And that is what I realized was I was really stuck in the shame side of things. And if I had used guilt, if I had maybe identified the guilt first and used that to better myself, that would have motivated me to become a better mom. But instead, I got really attached to this belief that I am bad. And so how do we break that? How do we work through that? And so what I'm going to share next is how I discovered my affirmations and kind of the process I went through to find who I wanted to be in that season. And I think that this is honestly the key in helping us to become the parent and the mom that we were made to be, because for me at least, the shame was just keeping me stuck in this constant cycle, and I couldn't grow. So like I mentioned earlier, affirmations are going to be the key in this process because it's going to ground you in who you are and who you want to show up as. And so knowing who you want to be and who you are before a moment happens, before you're feeling the guilt, before you do this process is going to give you a better, it's going to set you up better so you can actually let go in the moment. Because what's going to start happening is in the moment, if you don't have a belief about who you are and who you want to be, you're going to start mind racing and you're not going to discover something, and then you're going to feel frustrated, and then you also may cling onto these beliefs about who you think you are in that moment. I'm angry, I'm miserable, all of these horrible things about ourselves, which in the moment we might be feeling miserable, we might be feeling frustrated, but that is not who we are. And so we need to discover that. And so I'm going to bring you through the process of how I did that today. Now, before we get into this, I do just want to share that this is going to change from season to season. So in this season right now, maybe I am struggling with patience, and maybe my belief about myself is I am impatient. So instead of being I am impatient, I am going to have an affirmation that is I am patient, right? And so we're going to get into that in a bit, but it's going to change from season to season. And it's okay if a belief is not serving you anymore. If you feel like, you don't struggle with it as much, and maybe there's something else you're struggling with more, you can adjust and change it. And that's kind of the beauty of this process. So the first thing that I did is I went through and I wrote down all the negative beliefs that I had about myself. I am angry, I am impatient, I'm miserable, I am irritable, all of these, I'm inconsiderate, I'm like all of these things that are just not kind about myself. And the more that we think about those things, the more we are going to become that, right? So I'm going to have you write this down on a piece of paper. So you're going to have 2 pieces of paper. On the first one, write all the things that you are believing about yourself that are negative, all the not good things, okay? You can pause this video if you'd like to do it in real time, and I would recommend you do that. But then you're going to take a second piece of paper, and this could be an index card, a Post-it note, something small, fairly small. And I want you to look at the list you just made, choose the one that is just calling you, like this is the one I'm struggling with most. I am, like I said earlier, I'm impatient, and finding the counter. And the counter to this one would be I am patient. Maybe it's I am anxious, and instead of I am anxious, it's I am calm. Okay. And so you're going to find one positive I am statement that you believe about yourself that you want to become. Okay, that's the key part of who you want to become. You're going to take this Post-it note and you are going to put it on your mirror in your bathroom. You can put it in your car. You can put it next to your kitchen sink, somewhere where you're going to see it often. So you are reminded of who you are working towards. But the other key part here is that first piece of paper with the negative beliefs. You're going to rip it up, burn it up, whatever you want to do. For me, I just ripped it up and threw it in the trash. And this was really helpful in helping me to exhale and to let go of those parts of me that that really weren't serving me, right? The things that were holding me back from becoming the mom that I really wanted to be and I knew I could be. So with that being said, I hope that this video encouraged you and helped you feel less alone in your feelings with guilt and shame. I know how hard guilt can be. I walked this road for so long. I would keep myself angry at myself and punishing myself for days, weeks, even months sometimes, and it just did not serve me. And so I hope that you found this helpful. If you did find it helpful, would you please share this with another mama who may be struggling with the same thing? The more awareness that we can bring to how we can find healing is just an amazing gift, so we can become the parents and the moms that we really want to be and that we were designed to be. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more content like this, you would like to be a part of this community, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And as always, I hope that you guys have a good week and happy parenting.